the author said, may Allah have mercy upon him, Surat Abas. Abas, that's a verb. Abasa. Abasa, past tense verb. Surat Abas. It's a Meccan surah. And it consists of 42 verses. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Abasa wa tawalla. Abasa. Kalaha. He scowled. It means, like one might say, wrinkled his face. Yani, when one mashes his eyebrows. Ayn Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, meaning the Prophet. May peace and blessings be upon him. Watawalla arada, and he turned away. And ja'ahu al-a'ma li'an, because the blind man came to him. Yani abasa li'an ja'ahu al-a'ma. He scowled because the blind man came to him. Or tawalla li'an ja'ahu al-a'ma. Or he turned away because the blind man came to him. And the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he did that, and he did not know that the man could not see. Al-a'ma, the blind man. The blind man is Abdullah ibn Maktoum. Abdullah, grandson of Maktoum. Wa Maktoum, Abih. Maktoum, that's the mother of his father. So that's his grandmother, Maktoum. Wa Abuhu Shuraih ibn Malik. His father is Shuraih ibn Malik. There's difference in opinion about this man's name, this blind man. At-Tanzeel sallallahu alayhi wasallam wa huwa yad'u ashraf Quraysh ila al-Islam. He came to the Prophet, this blind man, alayhi salatu wassalam, when the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam was calling the nobles of Quraysh to Islam. فقال يا رسول الله علمني مما علمك الله. He said, O Messenger of Allah, teach me from what Allah has taught you. وكرر ذلك, and he repeated that. وهو لا يعلم تشاغله بالقوم, without knowing the Prophet's being occupied with the people, those people. فكره رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قطعه لكلامه. And so the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam disliked his interrupting his speech. He disliked the blind man interrupting him while he was speaking. وَعَبَسَ وَأَعْرَضَ عَنْهُ. And so he scowled and turned away from him. فَنَزَلَتْ. And thus the verse was revealed. So, فَنَزَلَتْ, it was then revealed. So what's that called? That's called sababun nuzul, the reason for the revelation. That's the story behind the ayah, or even a hadith. There could be a story behind why the Prophet said something, alayhi salatu wassalam. And very important rule to take away from that is that the story, the reason for the revelation is not the evidence for the judgment. Whatever, if there's a judgment in the ayah or the hadith, the reason is not the evidence. That's one thing. Also, The reason for the revelation is not the tafsir. That's different. The reason for the revelation is not the interpretation of the ayah, but sometimes you need it. So to give context to the ayah, to clarify the meaning. So those people who disregard the hadiths, there's no way they could be true Qur'anists without hadiths, because so much of the Qur'an needs the context that the hadiths give them because of the reason of revelation. فكان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يكرمه بعدها. And then the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم would be very hospitable to this man after that. ويقول, he used to say, مرحبا بمن عاتبني فيه ربي. Welcome to the one about whom my Lord reprimanded me. And that's not something harsh there. That atabani, that's not something harsh from Allah to his Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. And what the Prophet did here was not haram, but shows you that the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, he's a human being. وَاسْتَخْلَفَهُ عَلَى الْمَدِينَةِ مَرَّتَيْنِ. And the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, he left Ibn Maktoum in charge of Medina twice. So he's a scholar. He was also a mu'adhin. He was one of the mu'adhins. And he was the one who went with Mus'ab to Al-Madinah, the two of them. And they spread the da'wah there before the Prophet came, alayhi salatu wassalam. وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّى. And what makes you know, O Muhammad, وَأَيُّ شَيْءٍ يَجْعَلُكَ دَارِيًا بِحَالِ هَذَا الْأَعْمَى. What makes you know, Muhammad, about the case of this blind man? لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّى. Perhaps he will be purified. لَعَلَّ الْأَعْمَى يَتَطَهَّرُ بما يسمع منك, by what he hears from you. من دنس الجهل, purified from the filth of ignorance. وأصله يتزكى. The word that's in the ayah, يزكى, originally in Arabic it would be يتزكى with a ta in there. فأدغمت التاء في الزاي. But that ta got fused into the zay that's after it. So yatazakka became yazakka. وكذا, and also the next ayah, أو يذكر. So it was originally yatadhakkar. Then the ta fused into the thal, so it became yadhakkar. أو يذكر فتنفعه الذكرى. Or he would take heed. يتعظ, يذكر, يتعظ. So ذال كاف را, that means to remember, or to be mindful, or even to mention. يتعظ. So that comes from wow, which is not here. Ain, wow. Wow, that's the preaching. Did you ever see what Sheikh Jamil does on the minbar? He gives a speech and moves the people. That's wow. So what's that for? That's for reminding the people so they won't be heedless. So أو يذكر فتنفعه الذكرى. What makes you know, O Muhammad, about the case of this blind man? Perhaps he would be purified from the filth of ignorance by what he hears from you. Or perhaps he would take heed and thus benefit. No, perhaps he would take heed, and thus the reminder would benefit him. فَتَنْفَعَهُ الذِّكْرَى أَوْ يَذَّكَّرُ. So the meaning is, وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّى. What makes you know, O Muhammad? Perhaps he would be purified by what he hears from you, from the filth of ignorance. أَوْ يَذَّكَّرُ. Or perhaps he would take heed, not be heedless. فَتَنْفَعَهُ الذِّكْرَى. And then perhaps the reminder would benefit him. نصبه عاصم غير الأعشى جوابا للعل. So here with this fatha, فَتَنْفَعَهُ goes back to the word لعله. لعله تنفعه الذكرى. Perhaps the reminder would benefit him. وغيره رفعه عطفا على يذكر. And it was recited فتنفعه فتنفعه for Dhamma. So then the meaning would be, perhaps he would be purified or take heed, and thus the reminder benefits him. So الذكرى ذكراك أي موعظتك. The reminder meaning you're preaching to him. أي أنك لا تدري ما هو مترقب منه. Meaning you do not know, O Muhammad, what could come to be from this one. من تزكٍ أو تذكر. What could come to be from this blind man of purification or reminder, yani alertness. وَلَوْ دَرَيْتَ لَمَا فَرَطَ ذَلِكَ مِنْكَ. And had you known, O Muhammad, then this behavior would not have come from you. You wouldn't have done it this way. أَمَّا مَنِ اسْتَغْنَى أي من كان غنيا بالمال. Concerning, though, whoever was wealthy, فأنت له تصدى. Then you to him subject yourself. تتعرض بالإقبال عليه. This is the one that you are diligent to adhere to take care of. حرصا على إيمانه, out of being very concerned that he would believe. This one who's wealthy. Yani, your treatment of this one is different from your treatment of that one. تصدى بإدغام التاء في الصاد حجازي. وما عليك ألا يزكى. And it's not on you, though, Muhammad, if this one doesn't purify himself. وَلَيْسَ عَلَيْكَ بَأْسٌ فِي أَلَّا يَتَزَكَّى بِالْإِسْلَامِ. There won't be anything against you. There's no sin on you if this one, this wealthy one, does not purify himself by Islam. إِنْ عَلَيْكَ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغِ. The only thing that's obligatory on you is to convey the message. وَأَمَّا مَنْ جَاءَكَ يَسْعَى. And concerning who came to you striving, يُسْرِعُ فِي طَلَبِ الْخَيْرِ, rushing in seeking the goodness, he went out of his way to get to you. وَهُوَ يَخْشَى أي يَخْشَى اللَّهِ, while he fears Allah. أو الكفار, or while he's afraid of the kuffar. أي أذاهم في اتباعك. أو الكبوة, or he came to you while he was afraid of falling over. كعادة العميان, like is the case of the blind people. He was afraid of tripping or falling upon his face. فأنت عنه تلهى. This one, from him you are distracted. تتشاغل. وأصله تتلهى. وروي أنه ما عبس بعدها في وجه فقير قط. And it was reported that the Prophet ﷺ, after that, he never scowled in the face of a blind person ever. وَلَا تَصَدَّى لِغَنِي, and that he never went out of his way for a wealthy person. وروي أن الفقراء في مجلس الشورى كانوا أمراء. And it was reported that the poor ones in the session of council, the poor ones were, though they were poor, those who were on the council, they were princes on the council. كلا ردع أي لا تعد إلى مثله. Don't do that. كلا, O Muhammad, meaning don't do that again. إنها تذكرة. Indeed, إن السورة أو الآيات تذكرة. The surah, or the verses of the surah, they are a reminder. موعظة يجب الاتعاظ بها. It is necessary to be taking heed because of them. It's necessary to take heed by them, by these verses, or by the surah. وَالْعَمَلُ بِمُوجَبِهَا. And it's necessary to practice what's mandated by it, to practice its mandates. It should be, it's necessary to take heed by the verses of the Qur'an and to practice its mandates. فَمَنْ شَاءَ ذَكَرَهُ. And so whoever wants, ذَكَرَهُ, he will remember it. He will memorize it. فَمَنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَذْكُرَهُ ذَكَرَهُ. Whoever Allah willed to remember it, then he will remember it. أو ذكر الضمير لأن التذكرة في معنى الذكر والوعظ. So what he's saying here is, here, كلا, don't do it again, O Muhammad. إنها تذكرة. Indeed, it, the surah, or the verses of the Quran, are a reminder. So here, تذكرة, that's feminine. تذكرة, تذكرت. فمن شاء ذكره. Whoever wants, he will remember it. ذكره, that's masculine pronoun. So that masculine pronoun there, does it go all the way back to this feminine word here? تذكرة, possibly. He says, "Oh, ذكر الضمير لأن التذكرة في معنى الذكر والوعظ." The pronoun, if that's the case here, the pronoun is masculine here, although it's referring to something feminine here. That's not impossible in Arabic, because it has the meaning of dhikr. The tadhkirah has the meaning of dhikr, and it has the meaning of wa'adh, preaching. Dhikr, reminder, and wa'adh, preaching. So it's going back to the tadhkirah, which means the reminder, with the meaning of the reminder and the preaching, the masculine of those, if one were to explain it that way. وَالْمَعْنَى فَمَنْ شَاءَ الذِّكْرَ أَلْهَمَهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى إِيَّاهُ. The meaning is, whoever wants to remember, then Allah will inspire him to do so. في صحف مكرمة. صفة لتذكرة. That reminder here, innaha tadhkirah, indeed it is a reminder. Where is that reminder? Fi suhufin mukarramah, ay annaha muthbitatun fi suhufin muntasakhatin min al-lawh. That reminder is in pages or any records that are copied from the guarded tablet. أو خبر مبتدأ محذوف أي هي في صحف. Or it means the same thing. Yani, just different way to look at the sentence. Mukarrama, noble pages or records. عند الله تعالى, to Allah, noble to Allah. Sacred, yani. Not yani sacred pages, high ranking pages to Allah Ta'ala. Marfu'atin mutahhara, raised, elevated in the sky, or elevated in rank and status. And so here, that's a proof. You need that, because marfu'ah means elevated, raised. Raised, you mean in a place? What place? The sky. Or you mean raised in status? Yes, raised in status. Also, that's possible. Okay, what's the proof there? That proof is that here you have a reference for ra, fa, ain, meaning possibly high in place or high in status. We learned that ra, fa, ain has two meanings. It means a physical meaning or a abstract meaning. A physical meaning or an abstract meaning. A statistical meaning, if you want, meaning the status. That's what we learned. So then a Wahhabi will come to you and bring you a quote of a scholar from the Salaf who said, Istawa means irtafa'a. Irtafa'a. He went up. And then you're not going to be confident about what you learned already. And you're going to come back and say, well, do we have a reference? Because the answer is that scholar meant in status. Because the ra, fa, ain has the meaning, two meanings. Highness in place, highness in status. Highness in place is impossible, so it must be highness of status. And then because you weren't, wasn't strong enough for you. So here you go. Marfu'atin mutahhara. Marfu'ah. Those pages are raised, are elevated. In what sense? In either sense. This way or that way. Mutahhara, purified. An massi ghayri al-malaika, from being touched by other than angels. And what did An-Nasafiyy say? He said, "Oh, amma laysa min kalami Allahi ta'ala." Or it means they're purified, those pages are purified from anything that's not the speech of Allah. قال الشيخ هذا لا معنى له. Sheikh said, that's meaningless. لا يسمى ما في اللوح المحفوظ كلام الله جملة. What's in the guarded tablet is not called in general the speech of Allah, because that's where whatever's in those pages of the angels, that's where it came from. Or those records of the angels. وَإِنْ كَانَ فِيهِ الْكُتُبُ الْمُنَزَّلَةِ. Although it's true that what's in that guarded tablet includes the revealed books, that's the speech of Allah. But not everything in general in the guarded tablet is the speech of Allah. So then, here for this ayah, mutahhara, purified from being touched by other than the angels. We'll stop there. بأيدي سفرة, in the hands of scribes, كتبة, writers, جمع سافر. أي الملائكة ينتسخون الكتب من اللوح, meaning the angels copy the books from the tablet. كرام بررة, kiram, noble to Allah, ala Allahi, oh, anil ma'asi, or means they are honored from being sinful. Barara, atqiya, God-fearing, the angels. Jam'u bar. Barara is the plural of bar. قتل الإنسان ما أكفره, لعن الكافر, damned be the blasphemous human, but here only mentions human, al-insan. قتل الإنسان أي الكافر, damned be the human blasphemer. لعن, oh, huwa Umayyah, oh, Utbah, or possibly the ayah was revealed specifically about the kafir named Umayyah or the kafir named Utbah. Qutila, may he, he's killed. That's very, very literal there. Qutila, he was killed. Qutila al-insan, the human was killed. And the meaning is, lurin al-kafir, damned be the blasphemer. ما أكفره, استفهام توبيخ, أي شيء حمله على الكفر, what made him blaspheme? What drove him to blaspheme? And this question would be then a question for scolding. Oh, ta'ajjub, or it's a statement of astonishment. ما أشد كفره, شد, ما أشد كفره, or it's a statement of astonishment, and its meaning is ma akfara, how blasphemous he is, how intense is his blasphemy. Min ayyi shay'in khalaqa, from what thing did God create him, this extreme blasphemer, this arrogant one. Min ayyi haqirin khalaqahu, from what insignificant thing did his Lord create him? وهو استفهام ومعناه التقرير, that's a question, but its meaning is a confirmation. Yani is to say, he was created from an insignificant thing. ثم بين ذلك الشيء, and then he clarified what is that thing. فقال, so he said, من نطفة خلقه فقدره, from a zygote he created him. Zygote, nutfa, is the mixture of the male and female sperm, male and female seminal fluid, the mixture. So they call that zygote. That's when it's in her womb. He was created from a mix of ejaculated fluid. فَقَدَّرَهُ, and then his Lord created him. عَلَى مَا شَاءَ مِنْ خَلْقِهِ, as he willed. He created him in whatever form he willed for him to have. ثُمَّ السَّبِيلَ يَسَّرَهُ, then his pathway was made easy. His Lord facilitated it for him. Then his pathway was made easy. ثُمَّ السَّبِيلَ, then his pathway was facilitated. يَسَّرَهُ, his Lord facilitated it for him. نَصَبَ السَّبِيلَ بِإِضْمَارِ يَسَّرَ. So here, this fatha on the word sabil It's not because of this word here, yassar, this verb. He facilitated it because the verb yassar is already occupied with the hat right there. He facilitated it. So facilitated it. Facilitated is already occupied with it. So then what's working on this word sabil so that it has a fatha? Something implied. What is it that's implied? Yani, what would prove what we're going to choose? It's what's there. That's what it's. What's here, what came afterwards proves what's implied before it. That's a rule. أي ثم يسر السبيل يسر سبيله يسره أي ثم سهل له سبيل الخروج من بطن أمه. So the meaning is, then the pathway out of his mother, then he facilitated for him, yani, ثم السبيل, then he facilitated the path out of his mother. يسره, he facilitated it. أي ثم سهل له سبيل الخروج من بطن أمه, means what I already said. أو بين له سبيل الخير والشر. If it doesn't mean that, then it means, then his Lord clarified for him, the human being, the path of good and the path of evil. ثم أماته فأقبره. Then he makes him die and makes him be buried. Then he makes him die and makes him one who is buried. جعله ذا قبر. He makes the human being be someone who has a grave. يوارى فيه, a grave that conceals him. لا كالبهائم, not like the animals, they just die and their bodies rot upon the surface of the earth. Allah didn't make the human being have this case, karamatan lah, as a privilege for the human. You would say in Arabic, قبر الميت دفنه. قبر الميت would mean he buried the dead, but that's not the verb that's in the ayah. He's saying that because maybe someone thinks akbarah means he buried him. No. Akbarahu amarahu bi an yakburahu. Here, akbarah means he commanded for him to be buried. وَمَكَّنَهُ مِنْهُ, and he enabled him to be buried. ثُمَّ إِذَا شَاءَ أَنْشَرَهُ, then when he willed, when God willed, he will quicken him. أَحْيَاهُ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهِ, he will revive him after his death. كَلَّا رَدْعٌ لِلْإِنسَانِ عَنِ الْكُفْرِ, do not blaspheme, human being. لَمَّا يَقُضِ مَا أَمَرَهُ, not yet has the human being fulfilled what his Lord commanded him, the blasphemous one. He has yet to fulfill that blasphemous one, what his Lord commanded. لم يفعل هذا الكافر ما أمره الله به من الإيمان, concerning belief. ولما عدد النعم في نفسه من ابتداء حدوثه إلى آن انتهائه, then after counting his endowments, the human's endowments concerning his own self, from his conception until his end, أتبعه ذكر النعم, then Allah followed that mentioning with mentioning of endowments, فيما يحتاج إليه, the endowments concerning the human's requirements, the human being's requirements. فقال, and so he said, فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَى طَعَامِهِ. So let the human look at his food, ponder on, think about his food. الَّذِي يَأْكُلُهُ, that which he consumes. وَيَحْيَا بِهِ, that by which he remains alive. كَيْفَ دَبَّرْنَا أَمْرَهُ, look at how God made the case of his food. أَنَّا صَبَبْنَا الْمَاءَ صَبًّا, that we have made the water pour forth. بالفتح كوفي على أنه بدل اشتمال من الطعام. Meaning, let the human being look at his food, think about it, and ponder about it, or ponder on it. Let him ponder on what's related to that also, which is how that food came about from the water that came down from the sky. وبالكسر على الاستئناف غيرهم. And if you recite it with a kasra and you say inna instead of anna, then the meaning is, let the human being look at his food. Indeed, we have made the water pour forth. يعني المطر من السحاب, meaning the rain from the clouds. ثم شققنا الأرض شقا, and then we split the earth with a cleaving. We make the earth split. Bin-nabat, by the plants that sprout forth. The ground makes way for the plants to come out. And you know, even if there's cement there, those plants will still come out. It breaks apart, and then the grass comes out. فَأَنبَتْنَا فِيهَا حَبًّا, and then we make grow in the earth seeds. كَالْبُرِّ وَالشَّعِيرِ وَغَيْرِهِمَا, like wheat and barley and other than those. مِمَّا يُتَغَذَّى بِهِ, amongst the nutritional seeds. وَعِنَبًا, and grapes, the fruits of the vines. أي الطعام والفاكهة, meaning the food and the fruits. يعني here فأنبتنا فيها حبا وعنبا. So habba refers to the food that's not fruit, and the inab here refers to the food that's the fruit. وَقَضْبًا رَطْبًا, and the qadb, which is the ratbah. I'm not sure if that refers to the date. سُمِّيَ بمصدر قضبه أي قطعه لأنه يقضب مرة بعد مرة. I'm not sure about that part. وَزَيْتُونًا وَنَخْلًا, and olives and palm trees. وَحَدَائِقَ غُلْبًا, and basatin, gardens. غِلَاظُ الْأَشْجَارِ, with thick trees. وَفَاكِهَةً وَأَبًّا, and fruits for you humans, and pastures for your animals. مرعى لدوابكم فاكهة لكم وأبا مرعى لدوابكم متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم, a commodity, manfaatan, a benefit for you and for your cattle, O humans. Did you notice how the Quran makes you see yourself as a human? Enables you to humanize yourself more? You see yourself as a creature. but Allah made you an intelligent creature. But you can see yourself, you can compare yourself to the animals in ways. In some ways, many ways, we're similar to the animals, but we're not animals. فَإِذَا جَاءَتِ الصَّاخَّةُ. And so, when there comes the scream, صَيْحَةُ الْقِيَامَةِ, the scream of resurrection, لِأَنَّهَا تُصِخُّ الْآذَانِ أي تُصِمُّهَا, because that scream deafens the ears. وَجَوَابُهُ مَحْذُوفٌ لِظُهُورِهِ. And what that condition, the condition that's mentioned there, when the scream of resurrection comes, of judgment day comes, then what? That part's not mentioned. What? Why not? Because it's obvious. يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. The day when the human will flee from his own brother. وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ, and from his mother and his father. لِتَبِعَاتٍ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَهُمْ, because of violations between them. Because of violations between him and his brother, or him and his parents, so he runs from them. أَوْ لِاشْتِغَالِهِ بِنَفْسِهِ, or because he's worried about himself on that day. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ, and his wife, he would run from her. زَوْجَتِهِ وَزَوْجَتِهِ, and his children. بَدَأَ بِالْأَخِ ثُمَّ بِالْأَبَوَيْنِ لِأَنَّهُمَا أَقْرَبُ مِنْهِ. The ayah starts by mentioning the brother and then the parents, because those are the closest to one. The brother being the absolute closest. Your full brother or your full sibling, that's your closest relative, absolutely. Closer than your mother and your father. Because your full sibling shares with you all the same relatives. You don't have any difference between you. Even your own parent has relatives that you don't have. And then the parents were mentioned after the brother, because they are closest also. And then the wife and the children were mentioned after them, because they are the most beloved. ثُمَّ بِالصَّاحِبَةِ وَالْبَنِينَ لِأَنَّهُمْ أَحَبُّ. قِيلَ أَوَّلُ مَنْ يَفِرُّ مِنْ أَخِيهِ هَابِيلٌ. It was said that the first one who will run away from his brother is Abel. وَمِنْ أَبَوَيْهِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ, and the first one to run from his parents would be Abraham. And وَمِنْ صَاحِبَتِهِ نُوحٌ وَلُوطٌ, and the first to run from his wife would be Noah and Lot. وَمِنْ إِبْنِهِ نُوحٌ, and the first one to run from his son would be Noah. لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِيهِ. For every person of them on that day, there is an affair. فِي نَفْسِهِ, a personal affair. يُغْنِي, that suffices him. There is a personal affair that's enough for him. يَكْفِيهِ, it's enough for him. فِي الْإِهْتِمَامِ, to be concerned about it. في الاهتمام به ويشغله عن غيره, and it will distract him, it will busy him from someone else. وجوه يومئذ مسفرة, faces on that day that are brilliant, مضيئة, lit, min qiyam al-layl, because they used to pray at night. أو من آثار الوضوء, or because they used to make wudu beyond the boundaries. And so the ring around their face is lit. ضاحكة مستبشرة, laughing or smiling. And blissful from the glad tidings. أصحاب هذه الوجوه, that's the people who have these faces we're talking about. وهم المؤمنون, those are the believers. ضاحكون مسرورون, laughing or smiling, and happy. ووجوه يومئذ عليها غبرة, and faces on that day, upon them there is dust. غبار ترهقها قترة يعلو الغبرة سواد, and above that dust there's blackness. كالدخان, like smoke. ولا ترى أوحش من اجتماع الغبرة والسواد في الوجه, and you would not see anything more alien than having a dusty face, and atop it is the blackness. أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة, those, the people who that's their case, they are the blasphemers. They are the deniers of the rights of God, al-fajara, and they are the vice doers concerning the rights of the slaves. أو لما جمعوا الفجور إلى الكفر جمع إلى سواد وجوههم الغبرة. Or this means أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة, the people who have that doubled issue on their faces, the dust on their faces, atop that dust is the blackness. Those are the people who have two cases, that they were blasphemers and they were vice doers. So since they merged the blasphemy and the vice, then they got the dust in their faces with the blackness on top of it. And we finished the whole surah. But let me end by pointing out for you that the mentioning of the blackness is nothing to do with racism. So if you ever hear somebody talking like that, like, so, oh, why is it got to be blackness on their faces? That's the racist right there. That one's the racist. Wallahu a'lam.